Alfonso Cajero, A Journey into Finance History, Chapter 43. Formation of the European Coal and Steel Community, Precursor to the EU, 1951. In the aftermath of the Second World War, Europe lay in ruins, cities reduced to rubble, economies shattered, and millions of lives lost. The devastation was not merely physical, but also economic and social. Amidst the despair, leaders of war-torn nations sought a new path, a way to rebuild and ensure peace for future generations. The war had left Europe divided, both ideologically and territorially. The old balance of power had crumbled, and the continent faced an uncertain future. It was clear that the old ways of nationalism and rivalry had led to disaster. The time had come for a new approach, one based on cooperation and mutual benefit. Among these leaders were visionaries who saw beyond the immediate chaos. Robert Schuman of France, Konrad Adenauer of Germany, and Alcide de Gasperi of Italy were among the foremost. They understood that to prevent another catastrophic war, Europe needed to be united economically. These leaders had experienced the horrors of war firsthand and were determined to ensure that future generations would not suffer the same fate. They knew that economic integration was the key to lasting peace. By binding their economies together, they hoped to create a common interest that would make war unthinkable. In 1950, Robert Schuman, the French foreign minister, made a historic declaration. He proposed pooling the coal and steel resources of France and Germany, the two traditional enemies whose rivalry had fueled so many wars. Schuman envisioned a supranational authority that would oversee these vital industries, ensuring that they were no longer used as instruments of war. The Schuman Declaration marked the birth of the European Coal and Steel Community, ECSC, the first step towards European integration. It was a bold and visionary move, one that would set the stage for the creation of the European Union decades later. Schuman's proposal was met with widespread acclaim, both at home and abroad. It offered a glimmer of hope in a continent still reeling from the devastation of war. But the road to European integration was not without its obstacles. In the aftermath of the war, suspicion and mistrust ran deep among the former enemies. Many questioned whether it was wise to entrust vital industries to a supranational authority, fearing that it would undermine national sovereignty. The scars of war were still fresh, and the wounds of the past had not yet healed. It would take courage and determination to overcome these obstacles, to build trust where there had once been only enmity. But Schuman and his allies were undaunted. They believed that the benefits of cooperation far outweighed the risks, and they were willing to do whatever it took to make their vision a reality. In 1951, just 1 year after the Schuman Declaration, the 6 founding members of the ECSC, France, Germany, Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, signed the Treaty of Paris. This landmark agreement established the ECSC as a supranational body with the power to regulate the coal and steel industries of its member states. The Treaty of Paris represented a major step forward in European integration. For the first time, former enemies had come together to pool their resources and share sovereignty in pursuit of a common goal. It was a bold experiment, one that would test the limits of international cooperation. With the signing of the Treaty of Paris, the European Coal and Steel Community officially came into being. It was a historic moment, one that would shape the future of Europe for generations to come. The founding fathers of the ECSC had taken a leap of faith, betting that cooperation could triumph over conflict. Their gamble paid off. In the years that followed, the ECSC proved to be a resounding success. By coordinating production and trade, it helped to revitalize Europe's war-torn economies and lay the foundations for a new era of prosperity. The coal and steel industries, once instruments of war, became engines of peace and progress. Buoyed by the success of the ECSC, European leaders began to explore new avenues for cooperation. In 1957, they signed the Treaty of Rome, which established the European Economic Community, EEC, and the European Atomic Energy Community, Euratom. Together with the ECSC, these organizations formed the cornerstone of the European project. The goal was clear: to build a united Europe, one that could compete on the world stage and safeguard the peace and prosperity of its citizens. It was a daunting task, fraught with challenges and obstacles, but the founding fathers of the European project were undeterred. They believed in the power of cooperation to overcome even the most daunting of challenges. In the decades that followed, the European project continued to evolve. The EEC expanded its membership, welcoming new member states from across Europe. Meanwhile, efforts to deepen integration gathered pace, culminating in the signing of the Single European Act in 1986. But it was the Treaty of Maastricht in 1992 that represented the next major milestone in the journey towards European unity. This landmark agreement established the European Union, transforming the EEC into a more ambitious political and economic union. It laid the groundwork for the euro, the single currency that would bind Europe even closer together. But the path to European unity was not always smooth. The EU faced a series of challenges and crises, from the collapse of the Soviet Union to the financial turmoil of the late 2000s. Each crisis tested the resilience of the European project, forcing leaders to confront difficult questions about the future of the Union. But through it all, the EU endured. In times of crisis, European leaders came together to find common solutions, reaffirming their commitment to the principles of cooperation and solidarity. The challenges only served to strengthen the bonds that held Europe together, proving that unity was more than just a lofty ideal. It was a practical necessity. In the years that followed, the EU continued to expand its membership, welcoming new member states from across Europe. The collapse of communism in Eastern Europe opened up new possibilities for integration as former Soviet bloc countries sought to join the European family. Enlargement brought new challenges and opportunities for the EU. It tested the Union's capacity to absorb new members and adapt to changing geopolitical realities. But it also enriched the diversity of the European project, bringing together nations with different histories, cultures, and traditions. In 2007, the EU took another major step forward with the signing of the Lisbon Treaty. This comprehensive agreement reformed the EU's institutions, making them more efficient, accountable, and democratic. It also strengthened the EU's role in foreign affairs and security, reflecting its growing influence on the global stage. The Lisbon Treaty was a testament to the EU's commitment to continuous reform and improvement. It was a recognition that the challenges of the 21st century required bold and decisive action, and that the EU must adapt to meet them. With the Lisbon Treaty, Europe reaffirmed its commitment to the principles of peace, prosperity, and solidarity. At its heart, the European Union is not just a political and economic project. It is also a union of values. Democracy, human rights, and the rule of law are the cornerstones of the European project, guiding its actions and shaping its identity. But these values are not always easy to uphold. The EU has faced criticism and controversy over its handling of issues such as migration, asylum, and the rule of law in member states. These challenges have tested the EU's commitment to its founding principles, forcing leaders to confront difficult questions about the Union's future direction. In 2016, the EU faced one of its biggest tests yet, with the referendum on Brexit. The decision by the United Kingdom to leave the EU sent shockwaves across Europe, raising questions about the future of the Union and its ability to withstand internal divisions. But Brexit was also a wake-up call for the EU. It forced European leaders to confront the reasons behind the UK's decision to leave and to address the concerns of citizens who felt marginalized and left behind by globalization. It was a reminder that the European project must constantly evolve and adapt to meet the needs of its citizens. As Europe looks to the future, it faces a host of challenges, from climate change and digital transformation to geopolitical uncertainty and global pandemics. But it also possesses a wealth of opportunities, from closer cooperation on security and defense to greater economic integration and innovation. The European Union has come a long way since the formation of the European Coal and Steel Community in 1951. It has overcome countless obstacles and weathered numerous storms, emerging stronger and more united each time. As it embarks on the next chapter of its journey, Europe must draw on the lessons of its past to build a brighter future for generations to come. The story of the European Union is a testament to the power of cooperation and solidarity. It is a story of nations coming together to overcome the divisions of the past and build a better future for all. From the ashes of war, Europe has risen to become a beacon of peace, prosperity, and progress.